Hey guys, it's me, Admin G, saGan, head admin and founder of Scumbag Atheist. This is a very special video because this video is designed to be a weapon in the war against abortion, and I'm just going to bring up a few points here today that can help you understand why abortion is wrong if you're on the fence, or if you're pro-choice, help persuade you and help show you that abortion is in fact wrong. And if you're an abolitionist, an active abolitionist like myself, then you can most definitely sharpen your wit with the points and messages brought across in this video. So the definition of abortion is a deliberate termination of pregnancy. And in order to terminate a pregnancy, you must end the life of the fetus or the baby inside the womb. Now, most abortionists will use the word fetus in place of the word baby. That's fine, because in some languages the word fetus means little person. Now, I'm just going to put something into perspective. Murder is defined as the act of a premeditated killing of another human being. Now, a human being is defined as somebody of the Homo sapiens sapiens species. Alright? So if you're killing somebody deliberately, premeditatively of the Homo sapiens sapiens species, that is by very definition murder. And last I checked, humans, us, Homo sapiens sapiens, only got pregnant with and gave birth to Homo sapiens sapiens. Now, to end that life deliberately and premeditatively, as an abortion would be, is by very definition murder. So abortion, therefore, in its most literal sense, is ending the life premeditatively of a human being, which by all definition you can look up in any dictionary, is murder. Now, there are a lot of people who will come along and who will justify abortion with so many claims. I'm going to go through the most popular ones and I'm going to refute them right now, so I'm not going to have to spend countless times typing up the same message over and over again to people who come up with these things and who try and justify abortion. I'm going to put it out here right now for everybody. So justification number one, what if I was raped? Now, it's quite understandable to go through such a really bad thing and have an emotional justification for you to not want to carry a child, which will remind you of the heinous incident that happened. I'm not here justifying rape, but abortion does. Because what abortion does is take away responsibility for rapists to face up for their crimes and have to pay for a child for 18 years. Now, you don't even have to keep a child that was conceived through rape. I mean, as I said, I'm not condoning it. But what I'm saying is, a life is a life. And we have such things as adoption. You can adopt out to other families if you're raped. And I've actually known of a couple of people who have done that. Now, I know several stories of people who do that. I'll get onto adoption in a minute. But what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that a baby is innocent. It should not have to pay for the sins, or the father or mother should not have to pay for the sins of the father, because it's generally a man who is the rapist, generally. Now, the statistics here, if we want to use rape, let's just say it's okay for a rape baby to be killed, okay? Statistically speaking, 2.5% of all rape turns into a pregnancy. So 2.5 25% of all rape cases end up with the woman being pregnant. And half of that, so 1.25% roughly, the baby actually gets miscarried. So the other 1.25% either lives on or gets aborted. And 2/3 actually get aborted, get killed. What about the others that live on? There are stories of people who were born in that circumstance, who helped change the world, and so many people who have saved and changed lives. I read a story of a woman who is a paramedic in ambulance personnel, firefighter, just one woman, and she was born and conceived out of this. And she was adopted out and everything after because of it. And her mother's family pushed her mother to abort her. Now, she's one of the less than 1.25%. So, if we want to use power in numbers to justify, you cannot justify abortion through numbers of rape victims because it just doesn't work. It's not even close to a majority. It's less than 1.25% of all rape cases end up in abortion. Less than that. Now my next point is, what if you are born into a bad family? What if the boyfriend is abusive and the family doesn't have any money, and etc.? There is always adoption. As I always say, adoption is an option. Because it is. One of the most influential people to ever exist, his name is Steve Jobs. His father conceived him with his mother, and his father's family would not allow him to be with his mother, so they had to adopt him because she could not support him. And he went on to revolutionize the technology industry and the way we look at computers and other electronics. Now there's always people who combat that with, oh yes, but the adoptive parents can be abusive and whatnot. To be an adoptive parent, you have to pass strict tests. And I do know that there are some people who lie on them. I'm very much aware of that. But the people who go in with honest intentions, they generally take care of their child and raise them. I know a couple who, and I'll tell you, this is an example of how strict these procedures are, who the man who was going to be the father had an emotional, it was an emotional meltdown 15 years prior to signing up to be an adoptive parent. He couldn't do it because of that one thing that happened 15 years ago. He just had a mental breakdown, a complete meltdown. He had to go to hospital and everything. But that's how strict it is. 15 years later, after one incident, they still wouldn't allow it. Now, of course, there is going to be the odd bad adoption family. There's always going to be a bad family that a child goes into. But if you don't give that child the chance to succeed and to push through that, how are you going to know that they're ever going to do anything? There are so many people who have come through bad childhoods and done lots with the world. You shouldn't cancel out a chance for somebody to live just because they might have a bad childhood. They can get away from it. A lot of them do. Most of them do. Some of them change the world. How do you know that the cure for cancer isn't in the mind of an aborted baby? Just because the mother was afraid that the baby would be born into a bad home. If you have a baby, you care for it. You give it at least a chance because you were given a chance. Now, another justification for infanticide, and it is infanticide, it's the murder of babies. Another justification for it is that the earth is apparently overpopulated. I hear this all the time, and it never gets any more intelligent, because it can't, because it's not an intelligent justification. Think of it this way. Someone is saying that the Earth is overpopulated. I've yet to see any study to show that the Earth is overpopulated. The reason why resources are not distributed correctly is not because of overpopulation, it's because of greed. It's government greed. You look at Ethiopia, their government's fine. But all those people who are living in straw huts, who live off a cup of rice a week, that's not overpopulation. That is a corrupt government. The government just saps in all the money and takes it for themselves. That's great, not overpopulation. Now, I'm yet to see any evidence of this claim that the Earth is overpopulated. But let's just say that the Earth is overpopulated anyway. I mean, China uses this excuse to abort thousands of babies a day. If the world is overpopulated, what this premise says is, in order to stop the world from dying, people in the world from dying will kill people. It's completely self-defeating. That's all I have to say about that. One of the other objections that I come across quite frequently, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, is it's a two-in-one, which is it's okay to kill the baby at such a young age because the heart doesn't start beating until XYZ. Now, the heart starts beating after a maximum of 28 days. And by that time, after you go through all the procedures, all the documentation, all the paperwork to get an abortion, to go through family first and, to go through Planned Parenthood, and to go through all the doctors now in Australia, I don't know what international laws are like, it would take far more than just a couple of weeks, and you'd have to actually know you're pregnant. So there is no possible way that you could kill a child before it has a heartbeat. It's just not possible. The timeline doesn't make any sense for that to happen. And there's also the objection tying in with that of lack of brain activity. Because apparently if it's brain dead, it isn't alive, and therefore it's okay to kill it. Now, of course, my response to this is, as always, is it okay to take a 4-year-old child with anencephaly and slash their throat? Now, anencephaly is a condition in which a child is born without a brain. They're still a human being, they're still alive, they still have a heart. And what scientists are now discovering is that the brain is not the only organ in the body with neural sensors. The heart also does. So the heart also has them. So to say that just because you don't have a brain makes you inhuman, I'm very sorry, but biology would beg to disagree with you. It's still somebody of the human species. You planning to kill them is still murder by very definition. Now, the last one I'm going to answer is ectopic pregnancy, which is where the ovum stays inside the fallopian tubes and develops into an embryo, and then develops into a fetus, expanding the fallopian tubes and eventually killing the mother. Now, it's my sad admission to unfortunately say that if the mother is also going to die, that is the only time when it's not even okay. But it's the only time when it can be reasonable, because it's either a life for a life or it's both lives. The mother doesn't have a second chance of having another child afterwards. It's very sad that I have to say this is the only time when the child is going to kill the mother. But if it's an ectopic pregnancy, or a pregnancy which would result in the child killing the mother before the baby can safely be birthed, 20 weeks is a capable safe birthing date. My girlfriend was born at 21 or 22 weeks, as was her brother. There's no justification to kill a baby before 28 weeks. At all. There's no justification to kill a baby unless it's going to kill the mother. None. Now the last one is my body, my choice, which is a bit of a cryptic one because it does have a double meaning. So my body, my choice can either mean that the baby is part of the woman's body, or I can do what I want with my body, and that includes killing whatever's inside of it. Now there are two things wrong with this. The thing that's wrong with the first one is that a baby is not your body. It's not a part of your body. It's another life form that you have created through reproduction that is in your body. Therefore, it is not your body. That is somebody else's body. It's a completely separate life and entity altogether. Now, to say, it's my body, so it's my choice, so you can do whatever's inside of your body, is also wrong. Because that baby took two people to make. And if the father disagrees with you on this, it's definitely not your body. Also, since the idea that it's your body, it's your choice for the baby to be aborted, well, that baby doesn't have a choice, and it's his or her body and not yours, but yet they don't get a choice. But you do. Well, you shouldn't. This whole my body, my choice movement is a load of rubbish. Thanks for watching YouTube. This was taken over 2 takes. That's why there was the change of attire. If you have any questions, queries, comments, death threats, marriage proposals, whatever, leave them in the comments below. I don't really mean death threats. Marriage proposals, that's fine, but I'm really not interested right now. And I will ABC ya.